Because otherwise, if you just have a goal, I want to lose some weight or I want to be healthy, these general kind of goals, they'll never stick, because what it takes to lose 10 pounds isn't worth what you have to go through to lose 10 pounds until you're addicted to a lifestyle. Just training. It doesn't take anything superhuman or supernatural. It's learning the confidence. So I came here to RMI and got injections into my shoulder, and literally 3 weeks later, I was throwing 100% with no pain.
Welcome to the Longevity Club podcast. I'm here with Rich Naha, founder of Surf Synergy. Rich, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
How did you end up in Costa Rica?
So we came, my wife and my 3 sons came during COVID for a week and loved it. So we ended up extending our trip, and ended up staying 5 months, and met an incredible surf instructor who was national champion stand-up paddle surfer and stand-up paddle racer. And he taught us how to surf, which we had never learned before. I was 51 and had never surfed before. And he got our breath holds up to about 4 minutes, and got us all into healthy nutrition and just really immersive waterman lifestyle. And we were fully addicted to surfing and that experience. And so I ended up purchasing a property to build a luxury surf retreat.
I'm stuck on you can hold your breath for 4 minutes.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And it's all.
Do we have your stopwatch? We're going to...
Yeah.
That's great. But how do you... I know like a lot of people are talking about breath work now and the need for breath work. 4 minutes to me just sounds insane. But I know people, do it and something you don't think of. But how hard was that to...
It's just training. It doesn't take anything superhuman or supernatural. It's just learning different breathing techniques, learning the confidence, replacing the anxiety with feeling like you need more air. And you can you physically expand your lung capacity by stretching and doing different breathing techniques.
And have you felt like changes in your life? Because like we know Gary Brecka is talking about all these different things. Like, have you felt like where breath work and that has like changed something?
For sure. Yeah. Some of the breathing techniques now kick in automatically. If I'm in a stressful situation, even surfing, if I get pushed under by a wave, I immediately just calm myself and count to 10 and I'm at the top. Where before you kind of panic and want to like swim to the surface, which just, uses up more of your oxygen. And so, but even in a stressful work situation, I'll find myself going into different breathing techniques to stay calm.
Wow. And started that at 51, just
Yes.
became part of that. And that's something you practice every day?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So first you get up in the morning, is it the first thing in the morning or is it late at night? I've never never done any breath work, which I probably should. And I've taught Marcel, who's your surf instructor, taught me, because I know he was saying about getting me into the cold plunge. I was like, not a chance. He's like, breath work. And I'm like, I don't care how long I hold my breath, I'm not getting in. But I was open to it, but now you're talking about it, I'm just very curious as to...
Yeah, about 80% of the people that come to Surf Synergy say they don't want to do an ice bath. And it's natural. It looks awful. People don't like to be cold, but 95% want to do a second one. And then once you're in the practice of it, once you see the benefits of the ice bath, then it's really the first 30 seconds that's difficult. So 30 seconds of anything is worth the benefits of the ice bath. So if you do a sauna ice bath and then go to sleep, you sleep like a baby, you fall asleep immediately, and you wake up feeling refreshed. And so when you wake up in the morning, you literally say, I can't wait to do the ice bath again, even though those first 30 seconds is miserable.
Is not good. And I'm a terrible sleeper. So Chris Lindley and I've had this conversation, and he was there as a witness to me. I'm not like a baby. I'm not getting in the ice bath. But
no, but getting a good night's sleep is the number one step to wellness, to longevity. And if you're not getting a good night's sleep, then 30 seconds of being cold, is a small price to pay.
Yeah, what are you willing to give up? And that's something we talk a lot about here, is that regenerative medicine and regenerative therapies are great. They're, science is advancing. We're learning all these different things, and we're able to promote health in that specific area. But the lifestyle is such an important component, and there's no point changing your oil and then letting your car rust and do all those other things. So it's like behind Surf Synergy, like you guys are, it's like a lifestyle intervention, or how would you describe like what you guys do?
Yeah, it could be an intervention, but I think it's just more of a introduction. But we do it in a way that within that 7 days, you become addicted to that lifestyle. Because otherwise, if you just have, a goal, I want to lose some weight or I want to be healthy, these general kind of goals, they'll never stick, because what it takes to lose 10 pounds isn't worth what you have to go through to lose 10 pounds until you're addicted to a lifestyle that will take the weight off. And surfing, every extra pound you have that you have to paddle into a wave makes it harder. So every pound you lose makes surfing. And so it's like a positive reinforcing cycle where you lose weight, you get better at surfing, you lose more weight and you get better at surfing. And then you find yourself on a Thursday night out with friends that are having a glass of wine, and you decide not to have the glass of wine because your next surf trip is in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're trying to do everything you can to complement the kind of gift you're giving yourself. The food at your place is unbelievable. Stephen, our videographer, was there. We both got to partake in what you guys offer. I mean, is amazing. How did you guys discover that, or like what goes into your menu?
Yeah, we hired an Ayurvedically trained chef who first focused on the ingredients: wholesome, no white flour, no white sugar, no seed oils. Everything as fresh as can be, and looked at the integrity of the ingredients and where they came from and who grew them, and what the intention was for those ingredients. And once you have ingredients that are that pure, I don't want to downplay our chef, but it's almost hard to screw up a perfectly ripe mango, right? It tastes amazing. But then he is a genius, just putting together simple yet wholesome, delicious food. And it's by far the number one compliment at Surf Synergy is how good the food is.
And it's not just a perfectly ripe mango. I mean, there's amazing sushi. I mean, I've seen things there. I'm like, what? It's like unbelievably impressive.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you find that eating that kind of food changed your life? Like you split time between the US and here. Just speaking from my own experience, I spent a year bouncing between here and Ireland, where a lot of the processed foods are not allowed. A lot of these ingredients, they're not allowed to put them in for human consumption. And I felt like I detoxed from the food in the States. So I went back for one day and I ate, and I was like, oh my God, this is horrible.
It makes you sick, yeah.
And I've spent 1 day in 2 years in the States. And do you find like do you fight that when you go back to the States and you're splitting time because the food at your place is so world class? Do you bring that mindset with you and you have to go kind of looking for other food, or how do you live when you go back?
Yeah, I definitely go into a different shift where I feel like, I don't get a salad at a restaurant in Denver because I know all the chemicals. I prefer to eat vegetables, but I know the lettuce and the vegetables in that salad are, doused with nasty chemicals. So you almost have to choose between that and the beef only has, these certain nasty chemicals in it. So yeah, it's a big mental bummer when I go back.
It's hard to kind of escape from.
Mm-hmm.
You think that'll ever change?
In the U.S., no.
Why is that?
It'll get worse.
You think?
Yeah.
Because people are here, like we're hearing like, oh, RFK is going to go in and he's going to change around things and it's going to be this. But I think it's hard when the driving force of so many things is money.
Yeah.
To really make a change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the first things Trump did in his first term was to relax the regulations on organic food, which the organic movement, the whole organic food industry, was started by people who wanted stricter standards because they want to have an option that has less chemicals on it. Yet the president of the United States stepped in and said, hang on a second, we're going to relax this. But why relax it? The only purpose of it was to have an option that was healthier. So I don't see between that and profit being the driving motive.
It's hard to see it ever
getting better.
Yeah, no matter who wants to tell the story, just common sense. If you take a step back, you go, big ag, big pharma. There's such a machine that's going to be very hard to break up. But I would hope that there's a switch in human consciousness, at least that there are people are now aware of all these new things, these new diseases, these things that are just keep popping up that don't seem to be prevalent in other parts of the world. What's the common denominator? And it seems to be food. And then there seems to be a pill to fix that, but that causes another side effect. But there's another pill for that, and it just seems to be this hamster wheel that you don't see everywhere, and you definitely don't see it here. So I mean, like, I know I felt the difference, and it's when we go back to lifestyle, it's like you've got to get all these parts. But how do you? What would be your advice to somebody like that's living in the States that's coming here for regenerative treatment? Like, how would you say, here's what you need to do? Like, what do you do?
Well, I'm going to spend a lot more time here, and Europe
Okay.
is the solution, because when you can't even trust the organic is, the healthiest you can get in the States. We actually lived here for 3 years when my kids were really young, and my kids would, they were 1, 3, and 5. We lived in San Jose, and every morning we start the day with a huge plate of fruit with cut up, papaya and mango and pineapple, and the kids literally like would leave the table with fork marks in their arms with because the kids were fighting over, and we'd go back to the States for a week or two for holidays, and we'd cut up strawberries and cantaloupe and put it on the table, and they wanted nothing to do with it. Like their 3-year-old body knew that cantaloupe didn't have any flavor, taste, nutrition.
It's just manufactured and processed.
Yeah.
It's funny when you think about organic. I think the definition of organic food is you can't be grown within 8 feet of somewhere that uses pesticides. But if I spray cologne on myself, I mean, Steven's 8 feet away.
You can smell it.
Yeah, he's going to smell it. And when your skin is the biggest organ on your body, you're going to be absorbing. Same with fruit, same with anything. I mean, it is hard to say. It's very hard to eat healthy. It really is. And it's so expensive. And then if you look at what's behind it, you're like, it's not true,
Yeah, I was involved in an organic indoor greenhouse organic farming business. And, out in the farmland, if you're going to spray Roundup, you have to notify all your neighbors. And so the greenhouses would shut all the windows. And I remember this one farmer, the neighbor sprayed without telling anybody, and the greenhouse windows were up. And you could literally see like a horror movie where that Roundup like wafted through the greenhouse because it just killed everything in its path. Where it didn't hit was still like a healthy plant, and it was just awful to see.
Just nasty.
Yeah.
And that's going into people's bodies.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Double benzene ring doesn't biodegrade. They find it in kids' urine, and it's nasty stuff.
That's horrifying when you stop and you think about it. When was the first time that it kind of hit home to you what you were putting into your body?
Actually, when we would travel back and forth from Costa Rica to the US and see the kids, go from eating papaya and mango to, in the closet with Oreos and, goldfish.
And another thing we talk about a lot that's a contrast, and maybe it's because of social media or all these different things, but like, I know myself when I go out running or I'm out and about, like, I see families outdoors a lot more here. I know it's probably hard in winter in Colorado. Oh, maybe it's not. I mean, I'm not a cold fan. I get it. There's a lot of activities in the snow. I've heard from Chris Lindley and yourself. I mean, I know there are options, but you do see people are outside a lot more here. And I think in Colorado, probably you're more outdoorsy communities, but you see kids nowadays, like they're hotbox. They're inside. They don't get out to play. They don't get out to interact with people. Like they're distancing again, and then they're being poisoned as well. I mean, it's just it's a scary point to look at where humanity is. And I guess then on the counterpoint is like we're in a really cool space where we can start to change the message a little bit and say, hey, there's something else out there.
Sure. Actually, with the tipping point for going from, okay, I'm addicted to surfing and here's a surf camp available to buy, I put it under contract. And actually I called Chris Lindley and said, I'm thinking about buying the surf camp. It might be the craziest thing I've ever done. He said surfing is the #1 way to replace an addiction, because in surfing. You get into flow state. It takes everything in your mind and body to paddle into the wave, catch the wave. And when you stand up on the board, your brain releases the serotonin, the dopamine, the endorphins that heroin or video games or anything else gives you. And in that time, I saw my middle son was fully addicted to video games, staying up till 2 a.m, sleeping till noon. And my wife and I are pulling our hair out, trying to figure out how to get him out of this habit. And within 3 weeks of being here, it was a Friday night. He came up to me at 11 o'clock at night and said, "Dad, you need to go to bed. We got to go surfing in 6 hours." And so he went from addicted to video games to wanting to get up at 5 a.m. to go do something healthy and productive. And so at Surf Synergy, you can't have your phone when you're surfing. You can't have your phone when you're doing yoga. You can't have your phone in the sauna or the ice bath. And so all day long, we have these activities that are, stimulating your brain without screens.
Yeah, you're unplugged and plugged into something.
Then after a week, you find yourself, not even, you haven't even seen a headline from the U.S. or you didn't know who won the football game, and it doesn't matter because you're so engulfed in everything you're doing here.
What's funny with something you said there about it, you don't see it's going to change. I know the election drove everybody crazy. There's one side, another side, and there didn't really seem to be any middle. It was just so polarizing, and nothing's going to change. Like, the things that really matter are still going to keep going on. We're talking about poison and food and all these different things. I mean, it is the change you have to make really is up to you. It's up to you on your personal choices and what you want to do or what you want to do for your kids.
Yeah, but you need an environment that embraces that change, right? Where you think your voice is heard. And, if you want to eat healthier food, yes, it's an option. If you don't want Roundup, soaked into your bread, then your congressperson is going to listen to you because you're a voter, not an agricultural lobbyist, right? And in the U.S., they've, basically made unlimited campaign donations from corporations. So the politicians are owned by the corporations that are chasing the profits. So the individual voter doesn't have a voice anymore. You can't call your senator and say, you can't get half the people in a state to call their senator and say, please ban Roundup.
Yeah.
Because they just say, they get more money from Monsanto.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need your vote.
Money talks.
Yeah.
That's scary. It's funny, we had a scientific breakthrough this weekend, and I was so
I did, or
no, it's just a personal. It's my own independent scientific study. But I would say, like, being around other people's kids, like little kids, are like the greatest contraceptive you'll ever come across. Like, you're kind of like, oh my God, these kids are like, usually other people's kids are crazy, even your own kids are crazy. But Patrick, our head of marketing, his kids are vegan and gluten-free, so they don't eat really any rubbish. And they're like little angels. Now, I don't know if I caught them on a good weekend, but for my weekend-long scientific study, but I watched them and I was like, and I said it to Samantha, I was like, are they always like this? Like, are they this one? They're like, yeah, she's like, that's how they are. And I was like, wow. It's like the light bulb went off. It's like, they're not full of sugar. They're not around stimulants. They're not around all these different things. They listen. They're affectionate. They're like just cool, little, pleasant little creatures. It was just really cool to, I got broody for about 5 minutes. Like, I wouldn't mind doing this. It was kind of cool, but it was interesting to see the dynamic of like kids that are not full of all these stimulants and how they act. It just makes you question like what you put, like, even in little ways, what you put into yourself. I mean,
yeah.
I guess we don't feel it ourselves, how we can affect other people around us, but it's like, it's really cool to see that and be like, oh, keep them that way. So that was my scientific study. We can release that to the world, verified by no expert.
And number of 2.
Yeah, we had two. So I feel like it's a balanced study. They were both girls. I don't know if that makes a difference too. So our boys a little crazier. I don't know. I have 3 boys as well. And
You do?
Yeah, there were handfuls always. Still are. But what would be one message if you could tell people, like, hey, this is something I wake up every day and I try, make sure I do, like whether it's eating healthy, is breath work, meditation, like something that you have done, just like a little thing to start a change, like that you felt this was a great step for me.
Yeah, I think belonging to a community, to wake up every day, kind of knowing what your purpose is, knowing, why you're going to go do the things that you're going to do, right? Like that's what makes you want to be a better person, so that, because you're, responsible to that community, you're accountable to that community, and whether the community's your family, your city, your state, your country, the planet, humanity, you could define your system of who your community is, but, to make sure you have that belonging.
Yeah, just your reach is not defined by just limited by your access, but if you want to get out there and affect change, you can.
Yeah.
Where do you see Surf Synergy in 5 years?
So yeah, it's actually interesting. I'd love to learn more about the 300 acres, but Surf Synergy, the vision is to be a community of like-minded people that are, wanting to live a healthy, active, adventurous lifestyle. So we're going to continue to build out more villas for sale for people to buy and to stay long-term within the community. So far we've done a good job of providing an amazing 7-night experience, but then people go home and they eat crap, or they get back into their old habits. So we want to give them, an opportunity to belong to a community of like-minded people where they could live that lifestyle every day of the year if they want.
And your community is, in a sense, like, because I know Chris is heavily involved in Vale, and you guys have like groups that do really cool, and men's groups, like all kinds of different groups that do different things. So you have that sense of community there, here, and then I feel like that's what we're trying to be involved with you guys, is that our component is a good part of the solution. The sense of community, the sense of purpose is another super integral part of the solution. It's like, how do you get these, like the Avengers, how do we get all these solutions together to create a really like seismic change?
Yeah, we're going to form a sister city partnership between Vail and Hako,
Okay.
and just raise awareness, raise funds. We're going to start a 100-acre permaculture project outside of Surf Synergy that could play in well with a doctor's property, and yeah, just keep growing and providing for the community. And then for the RMI, side of things, a year ago, my son had Tommy John surgery.
Okay.
He's a pitcher, and so he had to rehab. He had to, start at 10 feet away and every week back up 10 feet. And, he got to about 100 feet, and I literally was seeing stars trying to throw the ball back to him. And so I came here to RMI and got injections into my shoulder, and literally 3 weeks later, I was throwing 100% with no pain. And now I've, with surfing, created some other issues with my body with paddling. And so yeah, yesterday came to.
But you know what,
those addressed.
I know where to get it fixed.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Is your son still playing baseball?
Yeah, he plays at University of Michigan.
Okay.
So
He's hoping to go pro.
yeah, they all hope to go pro, but yeah, we just.
That's a tough life. I mean, I had no idea how baseball worked until I got to be around a few players, and it's like, man, it's tough to get there.
Yeah, really tough. So even when you get there, it's tough. So any day you get sent back to the minors and your contract's canceled. So, but he's getting a good degree.
That's it. Good education and good grounding and onwards and upwards. It's amazing. Well, we look forward to growing with you and learning more. I know you're going to come back, and we're going to come out and get everybody here surfing, because try it. It's fun. It's like falling off a horse. And it's amazing. But thank you for sitting with us, and we look forward to doing this again.
Yeah, sounds good.
Rich, thank you.